Welcome to Redbeard Radio. I'm Brian Keith, and if you've been listening for a while, you know that I started in my mom's business at the tender age of 5 years old, licking stamps to put on flyers to go mail out to our clients saying, hey, we're going to be in your area, so come on over to one of our conventions that we're running. A lot has changed since then. We're now doing the same thing, except we're sending LinkedIn messages. So it's a little bit different than it was back then. And we have a guest today who's been in business for even longer than I've been licking stamps on for mom's flyers, who's going to talk with us about what has changed and also what are the timeless principles that have stayed the same across the decades. Todd Snively, welcome to Redbeard Radio.
Brian, it's a real privilege to be here, and thank you very much for having me.
I'm excited because you've been around for a while. You have survived through fax machines being the coolest new thing and pagers to this whole AOL craze to social media to everywhere in between. And I think, and you've also lived through multiple recessions as well, critical and important in this particular, as we're recording this. We're recording in summer of 2022 and we're now officially in recession. So it's very exciting. And I'm curious about what do you find is true, has been true across 40 years of being an entrepreneur?
Well, the one thing that we found that has been the one consistent thing that to be successful, you have to have a good offer. So if your offer isn't what anybody wants, if it doesn't appeal to a lot of people, if it's not original or unique, you're already, way behind the starting line there. So we make sure we have good offers. Always.
What does a good offer, what does that look like today? And how is that different from what it looked like back in 1990?
It actually, it doesn't change at all, in my opinion. We have always used, and I kind of mentioned them real quick, 4 measuring sticks, if you will. We give a quick score to mass appeal. Does this appeal to everybody with skin, or is it going to be a very much narrower niche? And obviously, the more people you can reach with your offer, the better the chance of having a good response. Then we look at perceived value, right? Are you going to be able to deliver more value than what they feel they're actually paying for? And if you can really ratchet up the perceived value, then you're going to have a much better chance of making a sale. Now, just to touch on that one real quick, I think where people are missing the mark today is when you go into those webinars, right? And all of a sudden they get to the end of the webinar and they're telling you what you're going to get. And what do? They value stack. They value stack to the point where I believe the value is no longer there because people are like, this is just marketing, because people are not stupid. They can kind of see through that, right? So I think people need to be careful and provide true value and just not a real perceived value. But then we have to look at also the uniqueness and originality of the offer. If you are pitching the exact same thing that everybody else is, your chances of standing out and doing well go way down, and the offer also has less value. And if you're the only place, we'll go into exclusivity now. If you're the only place where people can take advantage of that offer, again, huge leg up for you. And that's where Amazon has really excelled with these private label products, where anybody can start and launch their own product. If it's truly unique and you're the only place they can get it and people want it, and a lot of people want it, and it's a good value, you're going to do really well.
Of that whole list you just gave, the value thing, the true value is the one that caught my imagination the most, my attention the most, because I've seen, of course, I've been a part of a bunch of launches. Redbeard Consulting's been around for a decade. So we've been in the, how do you build a sales page where you list off, the right amount of, it's $1,000 of value, but it's yours for how much money? What ratio actually matters? And what is authentically true in a way that is honest? How can you be honest? That's the first Redbird core value, is truth. What have you found works in today's crowded information environment for being honest? And when you say this thing is, all the components are worth $1,000 if you get it for 500 or whatever the numbers are, how do you in your offers pursue that truth?
It's funny you mention that, because I did grow up in the infomercial age where it was all, but wait, there's more. You're not going to pay this today. There's more. And so I've been jaded for a long time on that whole thing. So you know what we do for the longest time? No bonuses. we just don't play that game, And so the people want What it is, you've just spent maybe a half an hour or an hour and a half telling them they need. That's what they want. You're sidetracking them with bonuses. And I absolutely hate that fear of missing out, the false scarcity, and those little psychological triggers. Now, yes, the way you get people across that finish line emotionally is you answer the questions that they really have that have to do with, can I do this? And am I making a mistake? Those kinds of things. You don't try to trick them with the psychological triggers of, you're going to get $20,000 in bonuses for this $2,000 program. People are not stupid. So they look for true value. And the true value is in the base offer and whether or not they believe you can deliver on the big promise. If you can't, you have no business making the promise, no matter what all the bonuses are.
What have you found is the best aspect to talk about when you're trying to prove to someone that you can actually deliver the offer? Do you find the saying, here's how I've done it for people in the past? Or do you find the giving people the first 10% of the solution in depth, or something else works best?
I think what people really want to do is work with others that have accomplished what they want to accomplish. So we have no problem whatsoever explaining the step 1 through 10 and how you can get there. And if they want to go off and do it on their own, that's always the option. The value comes in from the fact that they're going to be able to work with somebody that has done these things in the past. And therefore, by working with that person, you avoid all of the potholes of going out on your own. You're buying your way to the front of the line, so to speak. You're buying that education. And if it's true experience, which is why I'm going to rabbit hole for a second. It's why these 20-year-olds that want to be my life coach, I just don't get it.
Isn't it great?
Where's the value in that for me? But in any event, if you can deliver that big promise and you've actually accomplished what they want to accomplish, and you're a halfway decent person that they don't mind hanging out with, then there's no reason they would not want to work with you. It all comes down to value and affordability.
I love that. I think about my offer for my Redbeard Accelerator. That's my mastermind. And what I say in there is, hey, you are trying to run a business on your own. Even if you have staff, they're still working for you. And you're designed to be hunting in a pack as a human being. So come join our mastermind. You're going to get to be in the company of other entrepreneurs that are also looking to build thriving six-figure businesses. And you're going to get to share your problems and have other people that are like you, that are at your level, giving you feedback on those problems. And yeah, I'm not promising that we're going to deliver some completely novel way to use some piece of software or something like that. I'm saying,
Right.
come join this team thing. I'm running it and I have this technical experience. I have this copywriting experience. Together, this is going to be great. But also a big part of the pitch is I have curated an audience, the other members in there. Like, there's brilliant people every week. We meet twice a week live. Then we have a Slack channel. The twice a week live, those live calls, I am always stunned. Like, wow, these people are amazing. They're geniuses. And they show up and then we have these amazing interactions. So I'm saying, I'm selling it as, hey, you want a team sport, go to joinredbeard.com. We'd love to have you and add you into this group of people that's getting stuff done together.
Exactly.
So that whole tribal thing is interesting. What have you found about the pitch of come join our tribe when you look at your last 30, 40 years of being in business? Has that always been something you're selling people on, or are you finding that it's mattering more as we get more isolated by using cell phones and social media?
Oh, that's a great question. And for a long time, and I'll just go back the last 10 years, people were pushing me to do some sort of a community mastermind. And I resisted. I resisted a lot because I don't know. I didn't want to be responsible in that sense for a big group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Last few months, I thought about it, and especially in light of what I'll call the less than genuine people that are out there and what the kind of money they're charging, I started to feel bad for not even rescuing a few people, that if I might be able to do that. So I did finally succumb. And I have to tell you, any fear that I had myself, even with all the success I've had, with any fear that I had about running a community mastermind just disappeared, because you know what really takes over? The community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of there, as a guide and presenting some content and doing, the live office hours with Todd and stuff like that. But boy, the community is the one that generates all the interactions and asks all the right questions. And people love loving on each other. in a closed paid community like that. And it was a real eye opener to me because, like I said, I'd resisted it for a long time, trying to understand what the value necessarily would have been. And I've also been, a lot of people have said, well, Todd, you don't understand that you know what other people may not know. And understanding that would put you more in a situation to appreciate how much they get out of something like this. And so that was a bit of an eye opener also.
What would you find is most distinctive about your online community? And also, where can people find it?
Our community is located at createprofits.online. So not a .com, but createprofits.online. And what's most unique about it is people are in there trying to do the same thing in different ways. We call it Create Profits Online because we don't pigeonhole anybody into, you got to be selling on Amazon. You have to be selling on your own website. You have to be in AdSense, or you have to be an affiliate marketer. Everybody's in there doing all of these different verticals. And myself and the other host, her name's Elena Saris. She's an amazing person. Between the two of us, we have all of the experience necessary in all of these different creating profit verticals. So people are able to get good information when they want factual information, and then have good interaction with the other people that they're working with for accountability and just, community.
How do you address what you don't know about? When I'm looking at your history, you have this history on making a lot of money on Amazon. And then, but you're also saying you have all these other businesses that you're also involved in. I'm curious, in my mastermind, I'm constantly confronted with the limits of my knowledge, right? There's some
Yes.
things I know a lot about. And then there's other things where I'm like, well, who else here has a thought about that? Like we have, I don't have any kids yet. And we have one of our members talking about how to balance taking care of their kids with this other thing they're working on. And I end up just calling on other folks in the group and saying, okay, hey, so-and-so, you have kids about that same age. How do you answer that question? So I'm curious for you, Todd, what do you do?
I'll go out and pay the expert to find out. I'll
Hmm.
buy my way right to the front of the line. We had this happen the other day with TikTok ads.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying, I heard, I've heard on this community or that community that people are killing it with TikTok ads. What do you know? And what do you think? And I was like, you know what? Nothing. I'm 60 years old. I don't know how to TikTok. I said, let me, let me get back to you on that. So I went out and I found a guy. His name was Luke, paid him a lot of money. And I said, run a TikTok ad campaign for me and let's promote, an affiliate program. Oh my gosh, did I get a master's degree in about 6 days on how the whole TikTok ad things work. And not only that, was a real eye opener. And I'm doing the exact same thing right now with Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts. These are the three places now that I've discovered for organic lead generation. Cost nothing other than the ads. I mean, if you're going to pay for ads on TikTok, but you can do organic TikTok. Real eye opener for a 60-year-old, I'll tell you that much.
You're reminding me of something a guy said back when I was in college, and we were interviewing these entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs who came back to the college to talk to the students. And I remember talking to this one guy who had some big company, and I asked him some question, which I'm sure I thought I was a smart question, right? And he says to me the immortal words, I don't really know what you mean by that. And what struck me, obviously, was not the question I asked or how I rephrased it or whatever, but here was this super powerful, at least to my mind at the time, guy. And he immediately admitted ignorance. He spent 0 minutes pretending like he knew what I was talking about. He didn't even answer the wrong question. He just said, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm too old to waste people's time like that. If I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know. But if it's an intriguing question, I want to know the answer also. And so we
And, you,
go out and find out, right?
and you're just paying the person who knows,
Exactly.
which
I've been
is,
doing that for a long time. My budget for other masterminds and consulting and courses like that is huge. It's the more successful I get, the bigger that budget gets. And people kind of like, well, why do you do that? I said, are you kidding? Why would I want to stop learning and getting better at my craft?
yeah, I'm getting more intolerant about things as I grow up in my business. With a decade at Redbeard, I just bought Landers Online Training, which they've been a client for a decade. I'm at the whenever a question comes up, I either want to have an answer or immediately assign someone else to the project. Because the amount of things that I'm actually the best at is vanishingly small. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Why would I spend my time on that? I should be over here on LinkedIn or making a podcast or something or designing this next study we're going to do on bankers.
Exactly. And again, I don't frustrate myself anymore. I'm a nerd, I'm a tech, I build thousands of websites. Let's say I'm building a funnel just because I enjoy doing that. Well, if I run into a snag that I can't figure out, I spend exactly 2 minutes trying to figure out. And if not, I'm right on upwork.com paying
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's up at 2 a.m, right across the pond or whatever, to fix it for me almost instantly. That's how the wallet gets things done, and you don't get frustrated.
That's really interesting. That's how the wallet gets stuff done. You don't get frustrated. There's part of the challenge, what sucks up so much time at work is trying to do things that we don't know how to do them and it doesn't truly matter. And some of it is struggling to do things where the result does matter. And really, in one of those cases, you probably should just hand it to somebody else. And in the other case, you should hire someone to teach you if it truly matters.
Exactly.
But as soon as you're forced to do that, you're confronted with, does it really matter? Are you sure?
Yeah, once you have to pay to solve a problem, you get right to the heart of it really fast. Does this really matter? But I ask people that question all the time. I said, okay, you've been trying for years to make money online. You've made absolutely nothing. When you sit down at the computer, are you actually doing something to move your business forward, or are you just doing stuff that really doesn't matter?
Hmm.
And it opens their eyes sometimes.
Yeah, there was a time where I'm a Keep certified partner of the company formerly known as Infusionsoft, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
doing onboarding calls. I was one of their outsourced onboarding coaches for a couple of years. So I would walk new people through the software, and then some of them I would retain as coaching clients. There we go. Simple business model. And that was just part of what I was doing. And I was getting paid hourly, right? There was a very specific thing you're getting paid by the company to do. And then any ones I converted to coaching, I was still getting paid hourly. And so for a while there, I was very specifically hours spent on the phone was very tied to dollar outcome, right? And now I look at my work schedule and my question is always, what is the least I can work this week
I
while
love
still
that.
achieving the high level objectives, and how much rest time can I give myself? And of course, the secret I try to not let myself know is I'll probably still end up working more anyways, but I'll have the abundance and the mindset like, oh, I should do that thing over there. This thing I've been putting off that would actually be useful. I should go to finish that, or I should go build this thing over here. But it's creating that white space in my life that when I was working dollars for hours, there just wasn't a lot of white space. I'm curious, Todd, for you, how do you think about your week? Are you like, I'm going to work 30 hours this week, or I'm going to take Thursday off? How do you plan out your week to keep that productivity high while spending as little energy as possible to get it?
That is probably one of the best questions I've been asked in a long time. And it really centers around this issue of balance. People, they tell me all the time, Todd, you appear to be a workaholic and you have no balance in your life. And I said, I have plenty of balance in my life. It's just my different definition of balance is way different than yours.
Ooh.
My success, the whole thing is, how do you know when you're successful? It's when you're in control of your time. Now, I'm way more productive. I'm a night owl, way more productive in the evening than I am first thing in the morning. So I get to work when I want to work. And if somebody wants to have an 8 a.m. or a 9 a.m. meeting, I'm out. Says, no, we have to we have to reschedule that, especially if you want me at my best, right? So the fact that I can pretty much work whenever I want allows me to be productive when I am working. And if I do sit down and I'm working on a project, and again, it's becoming apparent to me that I'm missing a step, I'm starting to feel stressed, I feel that head banging against the wall, I immediately shut that down, figure out who I'm going to assign that to, and move on to something else that it needs to be accomplished also. So the productivity, I'll tell you, when I was younger, I used to have this concept of never leaving the quote unquote office until everything was done. And sometimes that was 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
Oh,
That's literally impossible now.
bless your heart.
Totally impossible. So I had, at some point in my life, I had to become okay with understanding the fact that it was okay to go to bed with something that wasn't done. And I'll never forget that time in my life because it was very uncomfortable to me. It could just be my OCD. I don't like it when stuff is quote unquote broken. Got to fix
Well,
it to feel better.
that's why you're successful in part, though, right? Is that you have and I'm saying I don't know you particularly, but entrepreneurs in general, we have these habits that make us dysfunctional humans. But in the specific context of growing businesses, they make us better than average. My superpower is not finishing things, which it sounds like yours is. Mine is making assumptions that are mostly right, and that intuitive sense of, the money's probably I should probably go this direction. That's probably a good idea, and then I'm right often enough that it's a good thing. Uh,
I like that. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
used to follow the money like that. That's why I had so many different businesses. I would
mm,
be like doing really well with something, and then I'd get a whiff of something else. I would run it through my process in my brain. I say, yeah, I think that's worth following. And then I would parallel my time in the business and the efforts and everything until I saw that one had more potential. And then I would just sell the other one off and go with my gut, so to speak. But it's proven, right? You just don't jump off the cliff with that.
yeah. What I'm getting from your story is that you're intolerant, and you are more intolerant as you spend more years in business.
Yeah,
That
I'm not
if
the
something,
excuse guy. I'm not the guy you walk up and say, "Well, I can't do this because,"
hmm,
because my answer is always, "I don't care." And some
yeah,
people don't like that about me. They're, well, you have to be more understanding. I said, no, I don't. I
why,
don't care about that either.
yeah, that doesn't make me any money to be more understanding.
No,
Uh,
it's because it's all the people without resources that want you to understand why they're so disadvantaged. And I'm
oh,
like, well, I
it's
have blown
gross.
up my life so bad where I've been incredibly disadvantaged, trust me. And so I just don't suffer excuses. I guess the bottom line. You can go get hugs from other people. They'll tell you it's okay. It's just me.
Oh, I love that. I hope that's the title of your podcast or something because that's fantastic. Get hugs elsewhere. Yeah. The story I tell my staff at Lenders Online Training is we are here because lenders around the United States need more training on how to make better loans and fewer bad loans, how to better follow their guidelines, how to better analyze tax returns. And there is a huge dearth of good lender training in the US. We're the premier company, and we don't even serve 1% of the nation yet. So it is our duty to our nation, all of us, to win. So if you're on board with that, let's get hot. And if you're not, you don't belong here because
Exactly.
we don't have a lot of time. Like we're in the middle of our session right now, and it's going to get worse. And we've seen terrible lending decisions happen in previous recessions, also during boom times, but they're more noticeable in the recessions. So we need to get hot because we have a duty to our neighbors here, and we're a duty oriented company as opposed to a hug oriented company.
Exactly. I think people prefer when you're just blunt and you're not wasting their time. I mean,
Yeah,
there's if you're the other way, then I would question, the chances of success, quite honestly.
yeah. It's an incredible company to be involved with, and now for me to be at the helm of it. As we move on, my mom put all of her in-person training online back in '08 during the last recession, and then now we've been doing it. Now it's 2022. So what is that? 14 years of online training, and now I bought the company. I have doubled the staffing. We're also now going back to doing in-person classes again, which we weren't doing that for a couple of years. So we're just growing the company like crazy to go
What
serve
a
more
what a
lenders than we've
great
ever served before.
what a great business to be in though, this whole online education.
I'm so blessed.
Absolutely amazing.
It's
No matter
shocking.
what we do for an actual living, whether it's selling on Amazon or whatever vertical, there's always more money to be made in the education part of it, if you have the background and the ability to transfer the how to somebody else. Always more money in education.
Yeah, it's amazing. Todd, for folks who like how you think, maybe want to check out your mastermind, where should they go to find out more?
I'll tell you what, just come to create profits.online. We'll let you in for free for a couple of weeks. Look around, knock on the walls, ask some questions. And if you want to stay, stay. If not, best to you.
Gentlest sales pitch ever. So, folks, that's createprofits.online. I think learning from people who've done something for decades is a pretty good way to go about it. And just having people to ask in a community. I find in my mastermind that being able to ask things in a community, oftentimes, this is the last thing we'll talk about here, Todd. Oftentimes, people can think of 4 or 10 different ways to approach a problem, and they just need help focusing on one and then actually deploying that one. Do you find that in your mastermind?
Absolutely. This happens all the time. And people, it's that they get paralyzed, right? They've analyzed all the different ways and they just don't know which way to go. And sometimes they just need someone to say, yeah, do that one. And that's it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, folks, createprofits.online. Todd, thank you for being on Redbeard Radio.
Oh, Brian, it was so much fun. You're great. And thank you very much.